Welcome to Violet Eyes Tarot and Astrology. My name is Vika. Today we're going to be looking at the new moon in Gemini. So this new moon is going to be happening on June 17th at 11:40 US Central Time. Usually the energies will last 3 days prior, 3 days after. So we're gonna be looking at how this is gonna be affecting the collective. It's gonna be more of a step back general horoscope for this new moon. So for my friends who have been watching me who don't know what a new moon is, it's when the sun and the moon are conjunct. So it's the dark moon, and so it usually since the moon isn't getting any light from the sun, we're not able to see it. So this is a nice little card that shows the cycles, the moons. It's what our month is based off of. So we start out with a new moon, and then we go to a waxing crescent, to the first quarter, to waxing gibbous, and then the full moon, and then it starts to shrink down again, waning gibbous, last quarter, then it's waning, and then it starts all over again. So this is what's gonna be happening on Saturday, and already I've been feeling a lot of it's been kind of a push and pull between very dreamy, very pop, mystical space kind of music, and music. And then on the other hand, it's kind of whoa, it can be a little bit scary because you can kind of feel like you're floating in space with this energy. So for people who haven't maybe for people who haven't had that experience, this could be very we're gonna be experiencing it at different levels, and it's just gonna depend on your experiences, on how you deal with things on a personal level, how you deal with things changing, and when things start to fall apart. So there's definitely gonna be people that are gonna be feeling it more of the negative effects, unfortunately. But overall, I do see there's always a way out. There's always a way out of the negativity, and well, we're gonna get more into the details of what it is. But if I had to say so, this kind of feels like an acid trip. I know, it's oh god. It really does feel like an acid trip. It just feels like a watercolor painting that somehow it's the paint is dripping down, and things are just getting mixed, and it's like creating a new artwork in there. So there's been a lot of it's just been a lot of things. But well, let's go ahead and get started. So here is the sun and the moon, where they're gonna be. So for sun and moon, I have it's like an ego death. It's like a resetting of the ego, and in this case, since we are in the constellation of Gemini, it's gonna be having to do with our feelings, the moon, and with our ego, the sun, our way of being. And it's kind of like a reintegration of who we really are, and how we are uncovering those layers, how we have uncovered layers, that that paint dripping that I was talking about. It's us, underneath is the blank slate, the blank canvas that we started out as, but really over time with the layers of paint. And then if somebody, if the paint starts falling off, it's still something you can still salvage or find the beauty in what is left. So first moon in Gemini can be overanalyzing our feelings. So I have written a little note saying, don't think, just feel. It is a good, it is a good time for a lot of reflection, a lot of introspection, especially since the moon is trining the south node K2 here in Scorpio, and the dispositor of that is in Capricorn, which is I'll be there in a minute which is back in Capricorn. So, and it's so it is relating to our work that we're doing, spiritually. And okay, before we get lost, so moon squaring Saturn in Gemini's house, and with Gemini, and with Mercury being at home. So there could be a tendency of having a lot of bad thoughts, a lot of speaking ill will, gossiping. So maybe we can try to, it would be a good time for affirmations. It's a good time for those, automated affirmation videos on YouTube. There's a lot of good ones out there. A lot of I am affirmations. Depending on your skill level of controlling your own thoughts. And we are all different. Some of us tend to go to the bad thoughts out of bad habits. So it's that's definitely coming up to the surface, like how maybe you're still thinking about your thought patterns, your thought habits, and how those ways of thinking are not gonna work for if you want to improve yourself, if you want to improve your life, or if you want to find harmony and peace and an evolution in the way that you do things now. So I feel like this new moon is really kind of a mental reset, like a reboot of the mind, because Mercury is coming from having met with Uranus, because Mercury travels pretty fast, so it kind of just goes and goes, and it's been meeting up with Uranus. And I spoke about that in my previous horoscope video, about how Mercury and Uranus, it's kind of the trailblazer, new ideas, new ways of thinking. And I related that conjunction to the story of Icarus, to where Icarus gets these wings and wants to fly, wants to try something different that hasn't been done in his small village. And I think this relating with Mercury, it's just bringing new ways of thinking that may be different to, and we are all, that's the thing though, we are all experiencing it. We are all experiencing these new ways of thinking, and maybe some people don't share what they're going through, but if you want to go ahead and venture out and share what you've been thinking, this is a good, you'll actually be inspired to do this. Some of the, with the sun square Neptune, because the sun is with the moon here and they're both squaring Neptune, so that's regarding the moon, what I just spoke about. Now moving on to the sun, I have written a few little questions of self-reflection to help you. So I put ego, death, who am I, who have I become. This is also this is probably gonna be a weekend where you feel kind of slowed down by your thoughts. You might feel like you're zoning out more than usual, and it's okay. I think that the reason why I am doing this in the first place, figuring out what are the energies of this new moon, is because I like to know what time it is, what is the best thing for me to be able to go more with the flow. And that's why I like astrology, since it helps me find out what time it is. Like, is it a good time for this? Is it a good time for that? What is this a good time for? To where I'm gonna just be able to go in the path of least resistance. And this way of thinking might go against the way that we have been, that we strive to work for, that we strive to be. For example, what I'm talking about is about routines. I'm talking about the way of life here in the US, where you have to show up every day, you have to be consistent, and you have to and I have transiting Neptune in my 6th house, so it's just it's it's really hard. I've never done well with routines. I find it really hard to be consistent. And on that note, with this channel, I don't no I'm just doing this because I like it, and I might as well record it, since I'm going to be trying to figure these things out anyways. And what I'm trying to get at is that, see, I'm already falling into this into the energies of being like grabbed by the energy of this Mercury. Like, there's gonna be a lot of like intuitive ways. Like, if you find yourself talking, you might you're talking to a friend, and you might just hear yourself saying something that you're like, whoa, did I did I say that, or did somebody say that through me? It's gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna get really heavy. It's gonna get heavy. It's gonna get crazy. And I think this is a weekend for it, like, if the introspection or the epiphanies that you have get too intense. Luckily, we have Venus in proximity to Mars. They're not conjunct. They are not. They are they're about 6 degrees apart. But it's a good time for going to the art museum this weekend, for enjoying music, theater, anything Venusian, anything. And then Venus and Mars, well, what's something that's beautiful and yet, athletic, because of Mars here. So maybe beautiful and Mars and Venus. It could be painting, painting and not having a plan of what you're gonna paint. I keep thinking of like Pollock, the way he painted that was pretty Mars, pretty wild, but it was beautiful. It was Venus in the end. It was Venusian. And I think that having that outlet, maybe we're not ready to share what we don't know what we're gonna share. Maybe we're not ready to share these reflections, and this is definitely not a good weekend to make any decisions. I would wait until just until Monday I would wait until Wednesday. I would wait until Mercury's day to make decisions. But this is definitely a good time to where you could write in a journal. I want to make this decision right now, and then, or you can just decide in your mind what you're gonna make the decision on, and then come Wednesday or so, you're like, that's when you double check, am I gonna make this decision, yes or no. It's gonna be a good time to talk with, just to have conversations with immediate, Mercury's in Gemini, so it's gonna be a good time to have conversations with immediate family members. And it is Father's Day weekend, so it's actually good. It's gonna give us some grace, because if you're celebrating Father's Day weekend, it'd be a good Father's Day to do something lighthearted, go to a museum, and having that holiday, or meeting up with the family, gathering with people. That'll help you to take a break from all the heavy activity going on in your mind. And if you're not, or if you're gonna be alone, or if you're a single parent, then just try to take it lightly. Try to take the day off. Don't get lost in your thoughts. Try to leave the house, get out of the house. This is a good time to enjoy light-hearted music. Maybe go back and listen to the music you liked. You know, I've been channeling some songs, and I've been hearing it all just like coincided. There were the Pixies, the Where Is My Mind. I feel like that's the perfect soundtrack for these energies, especially with Neptune and all watery and um the moon. And it could also be with the moon squaring Neptune. They could, like, yeah, I think of Where Is My Mind and David Bowie's ¿cómo se llama? Major Tom. That's a good one. Also, the movie. There's this movie with Ben Stiller. It's called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. That is a good movie to watch, I think, this weekend. If you're gonna have to spend some time by yourself, try not to get too down, because it could be, you know, the negative side of this weekend, this new moon, is that you could, because Venus and Mars are so close together and they're sextiling over here with Mercury. It's just, there's a lot of desire. There's a lot of like love and passion, and Venus and Leo, at 11 degrees. It's like, oh my gosh, like I just want to open myself up to feeling good. And you might just want to feel good with anybody and no matter who. And with Neptune here, it could be just be careful not to get too, Neptune represents um drugs and alcohol and an ocean of alcohol. So that, be careful with taking it too far this weekend. You don't, you want to, I mean, I'm always going to advocate for sobriety. I think that's the best thing to do. And but if you will, then I would just be careful with it. um and just keep that in mind also with other people. Like, it's also dangerous because you could sacrifice yourself to help somebody in need. And that I got from Robert Hand's Planets in Transit, where it's like, well, you might want to overdo it, over help someone, or you might be annoyed at people who genuinely need help. Um, try to have compassion either way. If somebody is asked, it takes a lot for some people to ask for a favor and negotiate. This is a perfect time for negotiations. Maybe somebody, maybe somebody, oh my goodness, maybe somebody asks too much for something. And like, okay, I'll give a real life example. So I got asked to do a logo for a friend, and I gave him a price, and he said okay. And it's been about a week, and he hasn't made the deposit yet. But he hasn't said anything either, so I've just been patiently waiting. And today I really took the time today to think about, okay, what is this logo for? What kind of business? Where's he at? And I realized that I can't charge him the same amount that I've charged other clients. And that's something I'm learning with my graphic design, is I have to adjust the pricing to different clients. And that's just gonna have to be okay. And nobody has to find out, and I don't have to announce it. But I'm just saying, like, there was no negotiation. And there, I have a hard time with that too. That's something I'm learning to do, how to negotiate. Because if we don't speak up and we don't say what we really think or feel, then the other person might not know that that's too much for us to give, or it's too much what we're asking for. So really use this, this Mercury, this new moon in Gemini, to speak more from your heart, to be able to to say what you're thinking. I know that can be a long like from the nerves that connect your thoughts to your throat chakra, but that would be a really good idea. Other affirmations that I've written down for this new moon in Gemini are I deserve to rest. It's okay to take a pause. It's okay to rest and rejuvenate. And I deserve to take a break. I already said that. Okay, so yeah, just to circle back to what I was talking about before about the routines and all that. It's more like the way the universe moves, the way that nature, plants, the moon, water, plants, the way they grow, it's in cycles, and it's you know, it's a very high standard that we have as human beings when we expect consistency. It's just, I don't know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I think we're looking at astrology because we're trying to get the best outcome, and we're trying to be forewarned of what could go wrong. But at the same time, sometimes we have to learn to go with the flow, go with the astrology. Like if things are gonna move slow right now, especially with Saturn squaring Mercury, then so be it, because then other things will come into play. Like right now, we just got out of a lot of fixed energy. We got out of that fixed Grand Cross, which to me was like, it was horrible. It was walking through mud. It was a very dense time for me. Like when you go into the ocean and there's that sand that's just, it's hard to walk in and move forward. So right now there's a lot of, let me see, what did I put here? There's a lot of mutable energy. So it's kind of like, okay, like things could change, things are changing, and things are changing. We had a full moon in Gemini, November 6th or 7th, in this past November of 2022. So something reached its peak back then regarding the Gemini topics of your birth chart. And right now it's kind of like a reconfiguration. Like, are you gonna keep doing things that way? Because that's the best. That's his culmination right there. November 6th, November 7th. That's as best as it got regarding communication, and thoughts, the way we think. A lot of us are becoming aware of thought patterns. I think our generation, these generations, especially starting with Pluto and Scorpio, we are really looking into what wounded us as kids. And you get on YouTube and you search for something, and there's a lot of great psychology channels, but a lot of them are talking to us, to the adults who experience this. But I mean, being a parent myself, I was looking for, okay, so how do it, like a lot of the videos were how to deal with blank as an adult. And I was trying, I mean, I've already looked, I mean, you could figure it out on your own looking at those videos, but I was wanting more videos saying, okay, how can I parent to avoid blank problem? And there's not a lot of videos like that. There's not. I mean, I can figure it out by looking at the other ones, but how, if somebody's not aware of those problems, there's really no videos that tell us how to avoid or make us aware that could become a problem. And I know last time I also said it was a good time for the arts, and it's just gonna keep being a good time for arts while Saturn is in Pisces. And then Saturn being there in such, in Neptune's house, and Neptune there, it's just gonna be, I'm gonna quote, Neptune dissolves anything it comes into contact with. So all Saturn represents feigned appearances, the facade. So all these facades of the way we see things, right? Well, with this new moon, it's gonna be with the way we think, with the way we talk, the way we express ourselves. All these facades are gonna be coming down this with this new moon this weekend. There's gonna, you're gonna have to discern with who you can go deep into these conversations, and then also when to take a break and just enjoy the lighthearted energy, the love energy. There's a lot of romance in the air, and you can use it either romantically, fall in love, and just be careful because if anything starts this weekend, anything romantic, it's probably something karmic, and it's probably something, it's kind of like an oasis in the desert where it looks one way now, but it's not quite what you thought it was. So it could be a nice, elevator to the moon, but then you're gonna have to, you're gonna have to come down, and it might not be the way you want to. You might be very disillusioned. And who am I to say not to do that? I'm just saying that is a possibility right now. So for people who are trying to be careful of what relationships they get into, I would say not this weekend. But for those people that, they're just brave and they're gonna go out there, then, I mean, some of the best songs have been written because of breakups, heartache. So it's just, I'm just curious about what's going on, and that's what's happening. It's a reset to the mind. It's art, music. It's just, if you listen to the lyrics of Major Tom from David Bowie, that is what I feel this weekend is, and that is what I feel, kind of we're going into. So thank you for listening. I will see you next time. I hope you are all having a great weekend. Happy Father's Day. Sending you a lot of peace of mind. And ground yourself if you need to. Grab smoky quartz, or there's a lot of good grounding meditations. There's always prayer, and there's always mantras you could say to help you ground yourself, and just, hang on, and everything is, this too shall pass. If you are having a bad time, this too shall pass. And if not, then feel free to wander around in the dream and try to balance it with your responsibilities. Just make sure the stove's turned off before you leave the house. Bye.